Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Jonathan Despain and I are together in his office today to present the call. So if you have questions, we'll do kind of some question answer spots between each of the sections, but we'll also do a big general question and answer at the very end. So if you do have questions, today is a great time for you to bring those. Like I said, the call will be recorded, so you can take a look at that as needed. We're going to pull up a PowerPoint here and go ahead and get started.
Is everybody able to hear me okay? Somebody nod if you can hear me all right. All right, thank you. Appreciate that, Jim and Sarah. We can see you there. Okay, so we want to run through some stuff for State Fair. Obviously, it's coming up. So basically, if you want to frame how you should think about approaching State Fair from a county educator level, there's some pre-arrival items to be considered, arriving at the fair itself, during the week what you need to do, and then obviously leaving and getting back. So we're just going to cover kind of all of this stuff related to State Fair in the context of those 4 steps. So first is pre-arrival. First and foremost, we want you to know, and State Fair wants you to know that we're guests at the State Fair. It's their event, and there's a big difference between the Wyoming State Fair itself and the 4-H Foundation and ourselves. You're going to end up writing checks to both the State 4-H Foundation and the Wyoming State Fair for participation in the event for all of your kids. So you will need to be prepared to be able to handle some of the financial obligations from your county's perspective for both the State Fair and the 4-H Foundation. You should have already received an email from Amy that has some basic reminders and information on that. If you, for whatever reason, did not get that information or need more information on that, just shoot an email to Amy and she can resend it to you. Correct, Amy?
Yep.
From pre-arrival, again, I think a big important piece would be to make it easier for yourselves, especially for those newer educators that might be on, is to have some sort of pre-State Fair meeting with your delegation that's coming. For county fairs that are back-to-back with State Fair, that may be a little tougher, but it's usually towards the end of your week. But if you're thinking about that and you schedule that as you're going into your 4-H week, it makes gathering all the information and the timelines that you need to meet much easier. So please think about scheduling a meeting with your attendees that might be going to the State Fair, somehow tied to your county fair, usually either towards the end of it, or if your county fair is next week, it can be sometime during the week between the 2 fairs even. Every county does a little bit different based on your needs. But I highly recommend that. It's one place where you can encourage everybody to be there to gather all the information they need and to answer questions that they might have on attending State Fair. You'll also get a feel for which adults might be attending and chaperoning a little bit better, as well as the youth and the numbers of youth that might be attending, so you can get a quick feel for your obligations as it relates to State Fair for them. I put reservations down there. That's just a reminder. If you haven't got hotel or reservations already, we do have an extra block right now that we can try. We're going to cut some rooms loose right now, so you can let us know. But if you're planning to stay in a hotel, housing in Douglas is not the easiest thing to do, so it might be a little bit rough. I do know that some of your colleagues sent some emails around too. But prior to State Fair, you're going to want to make reservations now. And I would, the second I leave State Fair, try and make reservations for next year if you're planning to stay again in the hotel. You can obviously stay in the dorms from that perspective as well, and you do not need a reservation for that ahead of time. You can do it through your delegation. Related to entries, the way State Fair works is you as the county 4-H educator make all the final decisions for any and all 4-H entries from your county. If there's any controversies that come up, we look to you to be able to settle those based on what your parameters happened at your county fair, or any of the things that might be related to those exhibits or entries. So be prepared to know that it's your call to make those 4 things related to your county. From a static exhibits perspective, this is kind of unique compared to your county fairs, is you do not need to do any entries for any of the static exhibits. Those would be posters, art, all those projects that have things that are up on the hill, we like to call them, that are non-animal related. You do not need to enter those into the Wyoming State Fair currently. if you do want to use ShowWorks, there's a printout you can get out of that. I'm not familiar with that. You might need to work with your colleagues that use ShowWorks to find that. But from those that used Fair Plus, you can get a printout that looks like this, and it has all the exhibits that are going to State Fair. These, both from ShowWorks and from Fair Plus, come in handy because you'll know you can use them as checkoff lists for loading, for unloading with volunteers, yourselves, just to track all the exhibits that may or may not be coming to the State Fair, because those software programs print those out, and then you'll know what's supposed to be coming or not coming to Douglas. And I print multiple copies of that. Sometimes if you have interns working with you or volunteers or even junior leaders, you can track and check things on and off your list that way out of those. Again, before you're coming to State Fair, know the schedule of things that affect you in your county. If it was me, I'd print off multiple copies of the schedule out of the State Fair book. It's a digital State Fair book, so you can print off multiple copies of just the schedule and walk through it and realize which things you might have kids in and which things you don't, so then you can adjust your schedule to be the right places the right time, not only for yourselves, but for supporting your kids and your volunteers, but also for the needs that we have with you and your interns related to making the State Fair successful from the collective State Fair perspective of our 4-H office too. As you look at that schedule, consider implications of when you're going to be arriving in Douglas. Everything has to be in place on Monday by 5 o'clock. I highly recommend that if you're new and have the ability to be there with budgets and everything else, to come on Sunday, to be there to get everything lined out, because a lot of your animals will start showing up. Almost all of your dog people will be clamoring early in the morning on Monday morning, as well as the horse show. They're going to be looking for you for information. And so I would highly consider you coming down on Sunday. If you're not planning to come down till Monday, then just consider the implications of when your arrival will be related to when people might need verifications of entries or be looking to you for whatever it might be for access, tickets, all those different things that we'll cover shortly. So that's kind of pre-arrival. I'm going to pause there and see if you have any questions about pre-arrival. You might have to unmute yourself because I can't run the other side of this quick enough.
Hey, Jonathan.
Yes.
Are you going to go over how to put entries into ShowWorks?
No, I will not be covering anything with ShowWorks simply because we don't use or know anything about ShowWorks whatsoever.
Okay.
I will show you where the link is and how we've been working with State Fair to try and streamline it for both 4-H educators and FFA advisors to get all their stuff into State Fair soon on these slides, but I will not be covering anything to do with how to put stuff into ShowWorks because I have no idea. I would use your tech support that you have as your arrangement with ShowWorks directly, or your informal network of colleagues that may know, as well as directly you can ask for Bonnie Ramirez at the Wyoming State Fair. She's the person that sent you the emails with the access passwords. Her name again is Bonnie Ramirez at the Wyoming State Fair, and she's new in this role. So we did pre-arrival. I'll cover registration in a little bit, but I want to talk about when you arrive at the State Fair. So you've taken care of all your pre stuff. When you arrive at the State Fair, there's some things that are probably the first things first that you want to check into. One is I would stop by the computer room at the State Fair office, not our office, the State Fair office, and make sure they got your entries okay from your county. All you have to do is pop in there and say, hey, I'm just checking on making sure all my entries from X county came in. They'll say, let me look real quick. Yeah, we got them. And I would also be aware of if they didn't get yours, how are you going to get those from either your county support person that might be available, or be aware of how that process might work if for some reason they don't have your computer entries. The next thing I would do is if it was me, simply because of the timing of how things happens with animals, is I would check down, if I were a new 4-H educator, I'd check down the barns, and I would quickly make sure I know that where my spaces are for my kids in the different barns. Primarily the beef, sheep, swine, and goats. just to make sure that those superintendents have stall space for your county. Otherwise, if you don't do that, what happens is people start showing up and unloading animals. They're working with the educators and they call in a panic and they're looking for you. So if you know they have a space down there, you can just check that off that you know your kids, when they arrive, they're taken care of. And that's pretty simple to do. All you have to do is stop by the barns, look for the superintendent or the maps that they have, and make sure that your county is listed there. Again, upon arrival, one of the other things you need to be checking into is stopping by the 4-H office, is getting all the credentials. This is all of the information that we'll cover on how to get them ordered, but you're going to go down and pick all of this stuff up then to deliver to all of your kids, volunteers, once you arrive at the state fair. They will have these packets put together because of the order form process we have. So all you need to do is get in line they have down there and be ready to pay for all of these pieces, and then you can deliver them at some sort of meeting if you want to schedule a county meeting, but schedule how you're going to provide and get that all this details to the individual people. Speaking of the county meeting, I'd schedule one. As a county educator, I think scheduling one or the first couple of nights at the exact same time and location related to when the kids are arriving and or the events they're in. When I was a county educator, we met at 5 o'clock on Sunday night and Monday night and Tuesday night at the big tree by the cafeteria. Pick a spot, it doesn't matter, but pick a spot where you're going to meet, and then people can look for each other at a certain time, and that's how you can get this initial wave of stuff that you're the one that gathers and have to distribute into all of their hands, and they're going to want those on Sunday and Monday for sure. The other thing you're going to do is, after you get sort of this stuff taken care of, you are going to want to stop by the Fort Casper and register in with the State 4-H Foundation. That's where you'll pay the entry fees from the 4-H part of all of the contests, fashion review, double checking dorms. All that happens through the 4-H Foundation, checking in with Steve in our office in Fort Casper. Okay, then once you've kind of got that stuff squared away, you just start to unload and double checking everything you need to. Livestock can start getting unloaded in the stalls. You probably want to figure out how you're going to get your static exhibits unloaded. Double checking all those pieces that are on your list that need to be in place by 5 o'clock on Monday. Okay? If you have chaperones, you can start scheduling and having that meeting with them at that 5 o'clock meeting as well, making sure they're squared away and taken care of. Be aware that we do have an all-educator, all-chaperone meeting Monday night at 8 p.m. inside the cafeteria where it's air-conditioned. It doesn't last very long at all. It's just to make sure that we're all on the same page of making sure that we have a good state fair event, chaperoning kids, and communication. If you have volunteers that are watching kids in the dorm, it's a great way for them to get some basic information and meet some people that we have in charge of the dorms. That's the arrival process. I'm going to pause there again and take any questions, and then we'll get into the registration component. I'm not hearing anybody, so if you're talking, you're probably still muted. Okay, we'll move on. Oh, I hit something. So this is the link that everybody that is a 4-H educator or FFA advisor will go to basically register their delegation and get all of the stuff I mentioned before. You go to wyoming4h.org/state fair. It has a link to everything. So we're going to go there, and you're probably going to want to share this with your support staff if they're helping in any of this process with you. There are, in essence, 3 steps to register your delegation for State Fair. You've got to go in and take care of all of the animal stuff related to show works. That's done here. You're going to need to order all the meal tickets, wristbands, delivery passes, and basically this is where you will go pay for that stuff for State Fair. Then there's one for 4-H educators in step 3 here. Because we have colleagues, we did this to streamline this to help both FFA and 4-H. Step 3, if you're 4-H, you go here. If you're an FFA, they go there. So you do not need to do any of this for FFA. They should get the same information from Stacy Broda, the state advisor, for them to take care of that. How you guys do your entries from ShowWorks, it's just county by county. That's up to you guys to work out, but it's the same 3 steps for both FFA and for 4-H. Make sure you do all 3 of those steps, and if you have questions, there's phone call numbers to our office, the state FFA office, or the state fair office on there. Okay, we're going to quickly walk through all 3 of those. Step 1 is getting stuff done through 4-H online or 4-H ShowWorks. Again, this is where you have your username or password that was sent to them to go in there and put in all of the animals. This is where you enter. Johnny's bringing a market hog. Susie's bringing a steer, goats, all of wool, all that type, but not all that type of stuff is where that you have to enter in the divisions and classes tied to the fair book is done through this 4-H online or ShowWorks entries. That's the first link. Again, if you have questions, call State Fair about all things ShowWorks and State Fair book entry related. We really can only help you with the 4-H side of things. Okay, that's that link. The second link is the stuff that State Fair needs gathered together. Basically, in here, you're registering your county and chapter with them. Collectively, you're going to say you're in 4-H, type in the name of yourself. So they have a contact. They want to know the total number of youth you're bringing that are showing livestock. And then here's where you walk in and tell them how many beef, how many sheep, how many swine, how many goats, how much turkeys, alpacas, wool, because all of these have fees. State Fair has fees for all of these. That's how they gather that information and are able to then, you can pay them for that. This will total your whole bill up, so as long as you put all this information in there correctly, in the end it says here's what you need to write that check out to, or be ready to use a county credit card or however you're paying for this to State Fair. It'll add it all up at the bottom. So that's the animal part. Then here's the credentials and permits part. There is no charge for feed trailer permits. It's based on the number of livestock kids that you're bringing, and you can check page 96 for that affiliation. It automatically will tell you, based on the number of kids you put in up here, how many down here of feed passes you'll get. And then there's delivery feed passes as well, which is simply a way for people during certain times of the day to transfer from trailers that might be parked out at the Pepsi lot down to the barns. If you want to buy additional delivery passes, they're $10 each, and you can add them in there. If you need to get a golf cart pass, you can add it there. That's that side to it. Here's where the dorms happen. This is incorrect. I'm not sure. He just worked on this yesterday. Oh, they are free. They're normally $20, but they are free for youth staying in the dorms. Go ahead and put the number of youth staying in the dorms there, and the number of adult chaperones staying in the dorms. This is simply for dorms. So those staying in the dorms, they're free for everybody. We just need to know so you can get the right number associated for you. Here's parking permits. Again, on page 122, based on the number of youth you're bringing from your county, you will get X number of dorm area parking permits. That's your parking permit basically to get in the gate. You'll get one, but then there's others for maybe your chaperones based on how big your delegation is to park up behind the dorms. You can buy additional ones. You can also buy additional livestock parking permits if you want to park closer to the barns. I'm not sure how they are monitoring that. You can buy gate pass pins if you need to for people that aren't staying in the dorms, but the dorm wristband does cover all gate admission in and out of the grounds as well for all of your 4-H kids that have wristbands and adults. If you have others that don't, they can buy pins. This would be for kids that might be staying in the dorms or staying with their mom and dad in a hotel or something like that. If they want this gate pass pin, they can. It's more of a commemorative thing because it doesn't cost anything to get in the grounds this year as well. It used to and might in the future, but you can order those pins there. Cafeteria tickets is where you buy meal tickets for your kids if you have that, need that. This year, you can buy actual individual meal tickets. So if you know you need a bunch of lunch tickets for kids or breakfast tickets for kids that might be coming in for just the dog show or the horse show or something like that, that's where you can order those additional tickets. But you literally are going to get some fair ticket based on this number in your packet when you pick it up, and it's up to you to distribute to all the correct kids.
Hey, Jonathan, I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
You just said that they weren't charging the kids to get on the grounds this year, correct?
Are not.
Okay, in the state fair book it says it is, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Oh, if it is, then I'm incorrect, and it's probably, they were charging $1. There was a big debate on whether they were going to charge them $1 or not to get on the grounds.
Okay.
What does it say in the fair book? I apologize.
That Monday's a free day, and then after that they'll start charging.
Well, I think they just don't update their fair book, because that's true. They do. Usually Monday's a free day, so everybody can show up and unload everything and get all the static exhibits in there without having to pay. And after that's when they start charging. But I don't believe they've got fees. If they do, I apologize. I'm sure it's just that $1 a day fee. So I would defer to whatever's in the fair book for that. But those wristbands will get you in and out of the gate, as well as those pins, regardless of that, as long as you've got them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. The other thing I just want to point out is it does come up with a total grand fee of all your fees. This is the check that needs to be written to the Wyoming State Fair, whatever this total comes up to. And it's for all of this. When you arrive, like I mentioned earlier, you'll check in at their office and they'll have a packet together for you with all of these things in there. Meal passes, dorm passes, meal tickets that you can distribute, wristbands for your kids that you'll be able to distribute to all your kids as you see fit. I'll pause here related to this, and then I'll go on to the third step, which is just the 4-H only registration. Anybody have any questions about these? Please note, I guess on a side thing, that some prices did go up on a few things. I think in particular, like the golf cart passes, I know went up significantly to try and help reduce the number of people running around the grounds on golf carts. Meal ticket went up $10. It's been $90 for a long, long time. It went up to $100 for the meals for the week, starting on early in the week and ending late in the week. Those are the two biggest costs I think that are on here. You'll also notice there's nothing on here about camper passes. It's not your responsibility to deal with any of that. If people are coming down to stay in the campground, they can directly order those passes from the State Fair office. Please don't make any of that your obligation unless it's you yourself or some facilitation you're doing for your delegation and chaperoning. Okay, I'll go back to that's step 2. Then step 3 is this is our Amy State 4-H office, whatever you want to call it. Most important information that this is the check that you're end up writing to the 4-H office, to the foundation, to Steve. Again, you just mark your county, put you down there so we can send you a reply email. How many total kids are you bringing to State Fair that you're paying for that are participating in 4-H events? This year we have a flat fee for all of those kids. It's not a this for the horse kids and those in the livestock judging and this in the fashion review. It's just a flat fee of $10 for every kid coming to State Fair that's in 4-H. How many kids are staying in the dorms, both males and females? And it does note, please include your chaperones on there. If you have kids participating in the livestock judging, if you do, then I'll show you. If you click on yes, it actually says how many of them, and then it'll ask you to oh, nice job, Jonathan. It'll ask you to type in their name so that we can get the pre-registration done for that. Same thing with fashion review. If you say you're bringing kids to fashion review, it'll ask how many you're bringing and what age and what their names are. There's also a link and a reminder for those that are doing fashion review. There's a separate place for them to go upload their narratives. It's listed here. It was also listed in the email that you got.
Yep, they should have it. It is on our website as well.
Yes.
So they can go to the direct link on our website, fill it out, and those are going to be due, I believe they're due Thursday. So for their narratives and their photos.
But this also helps us cross-check the age groups, who's in them, and then the other upload piece has the place where they can put down their conflicts. This is simply you just saying Susie Jones is coming and she's a junior. Adam Sorensen's coming, and he's a senior. This just helps us, and then we can cross-reference these to which narratives have showed up when they start scheduling that. That's all, and then this just gives you your total due to the 4-H Foundation. Be ready with that check for Steve. And then this last piece, this is a change of entries. If you have other volunteers that are adult volunteers that you trust, that you're given permission, if there's problems at any of these shows that you say, oh yeah, I may not know much about the swine show, so if Margaret Thatcher's there, Margaret can make the calls for all of our kids from our county because she was heavily involved and knows them all, and I'm getting her permission. You just check yes, and then we just need her phone number and name. So what this does for us is we're able, when there's problems down at any of these shows or weigh-ins or anything associated with this that you can't be everywhere, it gives those superintendents somebody they can call to say, hey, little Susie showed up and thinks she's got pig number 26 and we have her down as having pig 231. And it gives you just a way to be able to say all things for these things that somebody else can help you with. You don't have to say any of these are done by anybody else other than yourself if you don't want to. But this is where you get that opportunity. And last but not least is if your county is participating in herdsmanship, again, we just need to know which species so we can get the right numbers of copies and the right numbers of things pulled together for the species that we do herdsmanship with. And we have a celebration at the end of the week for the kids in herdsmanship. This helps us gauge how much related to that as well. And you submit the form and you're done. That is the registration process. There's the 3 steps. Again, show works first, wristbands, meal tickets, delivery passes, all of that. And then just the 4-H only components, which are how many kids you're bringing, who's staying in the dorms, or how many are staying in the dorms, livestock judging, and fashion review. Any questions about this? A note that this is due a few hours earlier than last year. Again, this is State Fair that's requesting this, not us. At 9 a.m. on Sunday, August 4th. They do, the 14th, sorry, August 14th. They do understand that there could be some issues with a few county fairs that are back-to-back with maybe late horse shows. So this is when they're going to close the forms, and then if there's problems, we'll deal with them. They want to deal with them individually with the counties. So. But be aware that's a few hours. Usually this was like noon or 1, I think. Okay, that takes care of the registration form. So I'm going to go back to our little PowerPoint. We did arrival. So during the week, now that you've got yourself there from pre-arrival and everything's rosy and you got all your kids their stuff, you've paid all your things, all the exhibits are in place. Now the rest of the week, here's some things to be thinking about as you're planning ahead of time and kind of your role. One is, from a communication standpoint, think through how you want to communicate with your other colleagues, volunteers, families. So we have a few things set up to help you do that. In Fort Casper is our main 4-H office. So if there's a place on the grounds that you go, I don't know where to go, or I don't know where to send volunteers with questions or anything else, our main location is in Fort Casper, which is up by the cafeteria, big flag in front of it, big sign on the side of it that says Fort Casper. Our main 4-H office is in that building. For those of you that attended State Shoot, it's in that same building where Air Pistol was, and it was our main check-in for that event as well. There are mailboxes for each of the counties. You will have a county mailbox there that you can use. Everybody uses that for dumping information back and forth. It's your place to either get or provide information to other people. You can leave notes for colleagues there. You can ask volunteers to put notes in there, whatever you want to. You've got a little mailbox space for your county. Please check that. If I were you, I'd check that every day, or send somebody else up to check it, or whatever else. Just whenever you're walking around checking on things, stop by and check the mailboxes. We will have a cell phone list that we're going to gather at the meeting and or through this process. Since you're giving us your cell phones, we'll have a cell phone list in the 4-H office. So if you're trying to get hold of a colleague to double check something, we'll have a way for access of them for you. We will not, however, give that information to just anybody else stopping by that's a general public or a volunteer saying, hey, how do I get a hold of so-and-so? We don't provide that information. We refer them to the mailbox, or if somebody saw them last, they can say the last place they saw them, but we don't share your cell phone number with anybody that wants it. And hopefully you're not doing the same with our cell phone numbers. That's about the only privacy, professional courtesy we can give each other. Yeah, decide how you want people to find you. And that's what this mailbox things happens. Communicate with them at that meeting. Maybe it's every day, it's different days. If they know that you're helping with this show or that show from your perspective on this day, then they'll tend to know where to look for you. They're much more comfortable and less likely to cause you grief if people know how to communicate with you from your county. I'm specifically talking about parents, volunteers, kids, colleagues as well. Communication's key to a successful 4-H State Fair week for you. Okay, I'm going to move on. From priorities and responsibilities, understand that from our perspective, there may be lots of opportunities for kids, and there may be lots of opportunities for other people at the State Fair, but our 4-H events and contests and judging comes first. So we need manpower help for our judging up on the hill on Tuesday and Wednesday. Some of it even starts on Monday as soon as exhibits arrive. If you've volunteered to be a part of those, they're a priority over anything else. So we will be asking your interns to give their time at State Fair for these state events. That's why Glenn is gracious to be able to provide you interns for not only them learning the job in the county and becoming future colleagues of ours, but helping us run certain events. They got to help you with the county events such as Showcase Showdown and County 4-H Camp and County Fair. At State Fair, we need to use them as part of this experience just from a manpower standpoint to make some of the state level events happen. So your interns will have sometimes they're going to be required to sign up to help out for. So if you're on the call, have that conversation with them ahead of time about where their interests might lie, where their needs might be that you have with them, and then where our needs are so that there isn't a conflict. And there will be some conflicts, but mostly it'll be around maybe what they want to do and where their needs are versus where you might need them and versus where we need them. But 4-H stuff comes first. If they want to volunteer to participate in some non-4-H event, they will lose that argument with us as far as that goes, and hopefully with you as well. We're there doing the 4-H things first and foremost.
Hey, Jonathan, this is Brenda. Sorry. Is there a sign up for them to work in the state 4-H office? I know that they've had to in the past.
Yeah, so I'll go over that on the call I have with the interns on Friday. And then once that call's over with, I will send that list out to all of the interns and educators so that they can see if there's either some gaps. For those that can't get on the call on Friday, they can fill those in, or they can call me on Monday or Tuesday of next week and we can get those spots filled in with people. So yes, there will be a state 4-H office sign-up sheet that will go out.
Thank you.
And that will be for a variety of things. Like I said, primarily for support on the judging days up in Fort Cass from Fort Reno on Tuesday and Wednesday. It could be for also helping with some of our competitive contests where we need extra help at Fashion Review, the livestock judging contest, the dog show, the cat show. Those are 4-H shows. It could be at the herdsmanship events. It could be also with the contests associated with showmanships. There may be some help there. Showmanships typically don't require much help, so that you may or may not see that on the list. And then is there anything else I'm missing, Amy, that might be on that list for interns? But so be prepared for that. And as you're having a conversation with your interns and yourselves for that matter and volunteers, we need help with all of these different components. So I guess the other thing I would mention to you is your role kind of changes from your county fair where everybody was hounding you to death for everything to make it be smooth, to a state fair, you're just going to have to be flexible because everything doesn't run on your schedule and the relationships you have because you're kind of stepping into the middle of something else prepared either or arranged by state fair along with their volunteers and superintendents, our office, our events. So you're going to have to be flexible a little bit and expect that you're going to have problems. If you expect to have problems, then you can plan for them. So my advice to newer educators is be thinking about, well, what could go wrong based on the information you've been gathered today? what information wasn't shared at our pre-meeting that you're hearing at that meeting that you need to find out answers to before you get to State Fair, because you did that pre-State Fair meeting for all of your attendees. Expect problems where somebody might be getting a flat tire on the way down and might show up late. So what do? Well, you contact the superintendents and let them know somebody's coming late. Call me in our office if you have questions. We're there to help you. So please, your role switches to things about how you're going to handle helping these kids and parents have a good experience at the State Fair, while you're also helping us have this good experience for the general public and our relationship with the State Fair from a statewide level. We're here to help and support you, and hopefully you're there to help and support us on making this a great event for all of our partners and families that like to participate in the State Fair. One of the cool things about this is you're not expected to be at everything, so you can engage and support the kids as they're participating in your program, and at the same time help with those things that we need some help with as well. So you get to dictate that a little bit more than maybe at the county fair level. We expect you to be at those things you volunteer to be for, and we expect you to be able to be at the support of your parents, volunteers that are there. The worst thing you can do is show up and disappear at the State Fair, that nobody can find you or see you. It's a public event, just like your county fair. Those people from your county that are there are gonna wanna see you. And if they don't ever see you throughout the week, whether it's justified or not, they won't feel supported by you. So please make sure you're making connections with those people of your local counties. Even if it's something as simply as saying, hey, I saw you got 3rd place in the goat show, congratulations. Or stop by their pen sometimes and ask their parents, so how's it going? Do you have any needs? You're much more of a supportive role and answering questions for them about stuff than you are solving problems that you might have had at the county fair level. And it is a long week, but take care of yourself along those needs too, and help make this a good week. You can, one of my colleagues says that's what the week after State Fair is, to catch up on sleep. But I also would encourage you to get the sleep you need to, so you're not grumpy and bitter and short with people towards the end of the week, because they will remember that as well as our clientele and parents and youth especially. Again, this volunteer sign-up sheet will be sent out to the county. That date's wrong, so don't worry about that at all. Okay, I'm going to pause. Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to pause and go back to this. Any questions about your role or things that might be happening during the week? Okay, I'm not hearing anything. I'm going to go to the next thing. This is going. Okay, so when you're leaving, only a couple things you need to know is have a plan. Just like you had a plan coming, you're going to want a plan going. How are all your animals getting home? With who and how? Sometimes things change during the week, and you need to be able to help solve some of those problems or help those families solve their own problems. How are all your exhibits getting from the counties? Who's doing that? Who's checking them in? Who's checking them, picking them up? You need to have that plan. Something to know is on Saturday of State Fair, the building closes at 7 p.m. on the last Saturday of State Fair, which is the 20th. From 7 o'clock until curfew of 10:30, it's wide open. You guys can start loading up stuff, stacking up stuff. You can take stuff into your vehicles, but at 10:30, we turn off all the lights, shut all the doors, and you'll have to finish whatever you didn't get done in the morning. And we do that specifically so everybody gets enough rest to travel home safely. There's not adults running one place and kids running other places. But you do have a time frame from 7 p.m. till 10:30 to start gathering and finding all of the exhibits that you brought in from your county. Anything that's not picked up by, I want to say 9 or 10 a.m. on Sunday, you'll have to check the fair book. It's listed on there. I believe it's 10 a.m. actually. We'll shut the doors. So if you, and you'll have to come back and figure out how to do it. It's not going to be taken over to the Converse County office. They will be left in Fort Casper, all combined into Fort Casper, and you'll have to work through and with State Fair to come figure out how to pick up any of those exhibits. So anything that gets left behind will be in Fort Casper State Fair, at least for a week until they start throwing things away. So please, if items get left behind, start figuring out how to have friends and colleagues pick stuff up as they're traveling around the state. And then we start the beginning thing of through our office and your own of lost exhibits, pictures, and stuff that gets emailed afterwards. I'm missing this. I'm missing that. If you have pictures, that sure helps. If you have pictures of them at State Fair, that helps as well. Just helps people identify whose they are, because sometimes tags come off and they're not identified. And that's it for leaving State Fair. Questions about that before we get into a couple more little tidbits, and then we're done. Not hearing anybody. Okay, so our last little tidbits. So kids show that participate in the fashion review quite often show or use the clothes that they also exhibit in the other part of the building for the sewing and construction or buymanship side of things. We have a check-in and out sheet. It's simply to help us track when it comes and goes. It's in the office in Fort Casper. Please direct your kids that might be needing that outfit for the fashion review to check their item in and out. It's only one level. Stuff does disappear. We can't track everything, but it's one method we're trying to help people sign in and sign out those items. It's going to be in the office right there in Fort Casper where all those clothing items are. As you start thinking about the livestock showing up and vet inspections and brand inspections there and all the information they're going to need, it's probably not much different than your county fair, but it's all listed in the fair book, and all of your livestock will come in the same gate and need to go through that livestock inspection before they can be unloaded. The dances, there are 2 dances, one on Tuesday night and one on Friday night. They're open to all 4-H youth with a wristband. If you have kids that are coming down just for that day and want to go to the dance, come find us in the 4-H office. We can get you a wristband to put on their arms so they can participate. They are intended to be for 4-H and FFA kids, not other random kids from Douglas or people just come visiting the fair. State Fair tries to make those dances be a benefit for the participants of the 4-H and FFA participants of the State Fair. And so if they need it, we track them with the wristbands. That's how we do that. So if they need a wristband, let us know and we can get them to them, even if it's just for that dance. Senior livestock judges will get a sack lunch. For those that have to give reasons, we're usually done by around noon or 1, but they will get a sack lunch. Juniors and intermediates will not. In terms of competitions that involve meals, we do throw out all of the foods that's left there. There are no placings. We try and keep track of that. There are not placings put in the computer anymore, so we can't track all of that because they don't go into show works. So it's mostly based on ribbons. So if they need to track any of that information, they'll have to see it live, and we throw all that food out afterwards. Amy mentioned the interns are having a meeting this summer or on Friday, so we will be using them, and we will have 4 collegiate assistants that will be working for the State 4-H office and can help with different things as well, in addition to interns that State Fair provides our office. So we will introduce them to everybody at the meeting, the chaperone meeting on Monday night. All right, that's the Wyoming State Fair and all things you might need to know. You have other questions?
I have another question. So it used to be like when we did the paper entries, there was something like in order to get pens, you had to do something some way for your animals. Is it still that confusing sheet, or does this electronic form kind of take over from doing all the paperwork?
Yeah, this electronic form replaces all of the paperwork.
Okay.
So when you say you're bringing 3 sheep from your county 4-H kids, it will ask you whether they're bucks or does or whatever else and that information. So this form, I'm going to pull this form up and share it. I'm not sure if it goes. Let's see if it. All right, am I doing this? What am I doing, Amy? I'm clicking buttons wrong.
So go back to that sheet.
Can I just go down like this?
Yes.
All right.
So when you clicked on it, it actually opened it
Okay.
as a PDF.
All right. So you should have got an email. That email that Amy sent out earlier has this registration form, this individual registration form. This is what I would give out and use at my pre-fair meeting. I would have copies of it available at the county fair so that anybody that might want to go to State Fair already has access to this form. And this, Liz, I think it was Liz, this is where if they put all this information down on here, you'll use this information in ShowWorks, but then you'll be able to add this information up related to all of this page with the page from Johnny and the page from Susie and the page from Margaret to fill out that I need X number of stalls for sheep and pigs and what breeds they are and all of that. You'll gather that information hopefully from this page from the individual kids to then fill out all that information on there. And the same thing goes with these dollar amounts. So should all match up. But this is a form I would give to every kid that thinks they might be going to state fair and have them fill it out and be ready to go for your pre-state fair meeting. So I went beyond your question, Liz, I apologize, but that's, to me, they all kind of come together with that form as well. So other questions, or did I answer your question all right, Liz?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Hi there, this is Megan with Natrona County 4-H. I'm the intern. I have a question for Amy. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It's in regards to the meeting this Friday for the interns. Have you sent out an email in regards to the logistics pertaining to the time or a link?
Yeah, so when I sent out the, if your email address was on the master list that we have in our office of interns, I sent a link out to that. It was a calendar invite, but I can resend that out if you don't have it. I can resend it out to the group before Friday.
Okay, that would be great. I don't think I've received that, so.
Okay.
You can send her your email.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, great. Again, we're going to be able to, we'll post this up for everybody so you can go back and look at anything you might need on here, share with your colleagues in the office that might be helping. Relook at this next week if you need to prior to your state fair meeting. If you have other questions as you pop along with any of this stuff, call us. Amy, call our office. We want state fair to be smooth for you too. So the more information you have and the better prepared you are as you walk through this information, the easier it'll be on you. State fair really is a pretty good time to be able to watch the successes of the kids in a much more laid back manner than maybe at your county fair, and still be able to contribute to having it be a good event from our relationship that Extension has with the State Department of Agriculture and through the Wyoming State Fair. So thanks again for all your efforts, and if you have questions, let us know, and we're here to help you. With that, Amy, is there anything else?
I think I saw that there was a message, a chat box message.
I'm going to stop sharing that, and maybe it'll bring us back to here. Oh, somebody's in the chat box. Great. Kathy asked about when the recording will be available to view, and where do I find it? We'll send an email out. Kathy?
I'll link it through YouTube, and I will send out that link. That it'll probably be before this afternoon. As soon as it gets downloaded out of Zoom, I'll put it together with an email with the link to the cell phone list, so you can